Good morning. We're changing it up a little bit and taking it outside because my kid's still sleeping. Oh, there's a cat that just ran across my yard. I think I scared him. Okay, so we're picking up on offers of service by misery to grief. I'm moving you up, so close your eyes. There we go. Okay, and I have a hummingbird too. I'll show you later, maybe. Marius slowly climbed the stairs of the old building. Just as he was going into his cell, he saw in the hall behind him the elder Jondrette girl, who was following him. The sight of her was repellent. She had his 5 francs. It was too late to ask her for them. The cab was no longer there. The fiacre was far away. Besides, she would not give them back to him. As to questioning her about the address of the people who had just come, that was useless. It was plain that she did not know, since the letter signed Fabantou was addressed to the beneficent gentleman of the Church Saint Jacques de Haute Passe. Marius went into his room and shoved his door behind him. It did not close. He turned and saw a hand holding the door partly open. "What is it?" he asked. "Who's there?" It was the Jondrette girl. Okay, so remember the Jondrette girl really is Eponine. It's the oldest of the Thénardiers. "Is it you?" said Marius almost harshly. "You again. What do you want?" She seemed pensive, and did not look at him. She had lost the assurance she had had in the morning. She did not come in, but remained in the murky hall, where Marius could see her through the half-open door. "So come now, are you going to answer?" asked Marius. "What do you want from me?" She raised her mournful eyes, in which a sort of confused light seemed to shine dimly, and she said to him, "Monsieur Marius, you look sad. What's the matter with you?" "With me?" "Yes, you." "There's nothing the matter with me." "Yes, there is." "No." "I tell you there is. Leave me alone." Marius pushed the door again, but she still held it back. "Listen," she said, "you're wrong. Though you may not be rich, you were good this morning. Be the same now. You gave me enough to eat. Now tell me what's the matter. You're disturbed by something, that's obvious. I don't want you to be distressed. What can be done about it? Can I help you in some little way? Let me. I'm not asking for your secrets. You don't have to tell them to me. But still I might be useful. I can certainly help you, since I helped my father. When he needs someone to deliver letters, go into houses, ask from door to door, find out an address, follow somebody, I do it. Now, you can certainly tell me what the matter is. I'll go and speak to the persons. Sometimes if somebody speaks to the persons, that's enough. And everything's all arranged. Use me." An idea came into Marius's mind. What branch do we scorn when we feel we are sinking? He went up to the girl. "Listen," he said to her gently. She interrupted him with a flash of joy in her eyes. "Oh, yes, talk softly to me. I like that better." "Well," he resumed, "you brought that old gentleman here with his daughter." "Yes." "Do you know their address?" "No." "Find it for me." From gloomy, the girl's eyes had gone to joyful. They now turned dark. "Is that what you want?" she asked. "Yes." "Do you know them?" "No." "You mean," she said hastily, "you don't know her? But you want to know her." The girl's them changed to her, with an indescribably bitter significance. "Well, can you do it?" said Marius. "Get you the beautiful young lady's address." Again, in these words, the beautiful young lady. There was a nuance that made Marius uneasy. He went on, "Well, no matter. The address of the father and daughter. Their address, yes." She looked steadily at him. "What will you give me? Anything you want?" "Anything I want?" "Yes. You'll get the address?" She looked down, and then, with a hasty movement, closed the door. Marius was alone. He dropped into a chair, with his head and both elbows on the bed, lost in thoughts he could not grasp, and as if in a whirlpool. All that had happened since that morning, the appearance of the angel, her disappearance, what this poor creature had just said to him, a gleam of hope floating in an ocean of despair, all this was teeming in his brain. Suddenly he was violently torn from his reverie. He heard the loud, harsh voice of Jondrette pronounce these words, filled with strange interest for him. "I tell you, I'm sure I recognized him." Of whom was Jondrette talking? He had recognized whom? Leblanc, the father of his Ursula? What, did Jondrette know him? In this sudden and unexpected way, was Marius just about to get all the information whose lack made his own life seem hazy? Was he at last to know who it was he loved? Who that young girl was? Who her father was? Was the dense shadow enveloping them about to be rolled away? Was the veil to be torn? Oh, gods! He sprang rather than mounted onto the bureau and went back to his place near the little aperture in the partition. Again he saw the interior of the Jondrette lair. Okay, so Jondrette, remember, Thénardier, is starting to figure out who Monsieur Leblanc is, and that's Jean Valjean. Additionally, if you are pulling quotes for love, you definitely want to go back through that chapter, because Eponine, because of his kindness, Eponine is now in love with Marius. Okay, so we're going to skip a bit on this next one. Oh, actually, nope. So we're going to continue on, and then we're going to continue on with this chapter. I'll tell you there's little sections we skip. Nothing had changed in the appearance of the family, except that the wife and daughters had opened the package and put on the wool stockings and underclothes. 2 new blankets were thrown over the 2 beds. Jondrette had evidently just come in. He was still out of breath. His daughters were sitting on the floor near the fireplace, the elder binding up the hand of the younger. His wife lay as if exhausted on the pallet near the fireplace, with a surprised expression on her face. Jondrette was walking up and down the garret with rapid strides. His eyes had an extraordinary look. The woman, who seemed timid and stupefied in front of her husband, ventured to say to him, "What? Really? You're sure?" "Absolutely sure. It was 8 years ago, but I recognize him. I spotted him immediately." "What? It didn't strike you?" "No. And yet I told you to pay attention. But it's the same height, the same face, hardly any older. There are some men who don't grow old. I don't know how they do it. It's the same tone of voice. He's better dressed, that's all. Mysterious old devil. I've got you where I want you." He checked himself and said to his daughters, "Go on out, you two." Then, turning back to his wife, he added, "Strange it didn't strike you." As they got up to obey, the mother stammered, "With her sore hand?" "The air'll do her good," said Jondrette. "Go along." It was clear this man was one of those who brooked no reply. The 2 girls went out. Just as they were passing the door, the father caught the elder by the arm and said with especial emphasis, "You be here at 5 o'clock precisely, both of you. I'll need you." Marius listened still more attentively. Alone with his wife, Jondrette began to stalk the room again, and took 2 or 3 turns in silence. Then he spent a few minutes in tucking the bottom of the blouse he was wearing inside the belt of his trousers. Suddenly he turned toward the woman, folded his arms, and exclaimed, "Do you want me to tell you one thing? The young lady—" "What? Well, what, then?" said the woman. "About the young lady." Marius had no further doubt. It was indeed of her that they were talking. He listened with an intense anxiety. His whole life was concentrated in his ears. But Jondrette stooped down and whispered to his wife. Then he straightened up and finished out loud, "It's her." "That girl?" said the wife. "That girl," said the husband. No words could express what was in the mother's reply of "that girl." It was surprise, rage, hatred, anger, mingled and combined in a monstrous intonation. The few words spoken, some name, undoubtedly, that her husband whispered in her ear, had been enough to rouse this huge, drowsy woman and change her repulsiveness to hideousness. Okay, so they figured it out, and they figured it out, and then remember, Jean Valjean is supposed to come back, so you'll see what's going to happen with that.